of the unique things about Stealth is that we have a national sales force. So we have presence that allows us to get anywhere within 24 hours and sometimes less to a client's site, which gives us a real edge in being able to determine what the client needs as quickly as possible. So we draw on vast experience. Those guys have been there for 10 years plus for the majority. And what they do is they'll sit down with the customer and they'll understand what the need is, and they'll shape it into something called an RFQ. And they'll send that RFQ, which is a request for quote, into here. And then the folks here that have a lot of experience doing estimating will take a look at that and see, what have we done like this before? Have we done anything like this before? And we begin the process, which can take anywhere from hours to days, of determining what it might cost to do this thing for this customer. So we essentially put together the bid based on what we learned from the salesman. That salesman out in there is a distributor. He does not work for us directly, but he represents us and the Stealth line. And he reports to a guy that handles a region of the United States, either the west of Mississippi or the east of Mississippi. And those guys all report up, and they'll take their RFQs and give them to these lead guys, and the lead guys will send them in here, and then we'll begin to put together the different quotes in order to determine what exactly it is that we're going to be bidding on. Once we get that, we'll send it out to the customer. There's usually some give and take in that. You know, they'll say, well, we really didn't want that, we meant this. And we might do a conceptual drawing, hand-drawn, or even a small, simple 2D drawing to say, is this what you mean? Because oftentimes the information coming in is just not as deep as we would like. So once that's done and agreed upon, then we'll wait. And then sometimes we can wait for quite a while, because one of the things that our process or our product is contingent upon is zoning approval. And many times we're in different zoning parts of the United States that require very stringent requirements for replicating something that is going on an old building or a historic building, especially in the upper east, New York, New Jersey, and those types, Connecticut, those types of places. So let's say though we got a green light to go, they'll send in a notice to proceed, and we will begin. We'll review the project, determine its complexity, assign a draftsperson, and they will begin the process of actually mapping this thing out, step by step, piece by piece, in order to determine what it is we're going to do and how we're going to build it. Once that project is complete, and then again, there's an iterative process. We don't go into a little world and just design these things on our own. Yes, we have a lot of experience and we understand how these things are supposed to go together, but there still may be communication with the sales rep or the customer saying, you know, is this exactly what you wanted? Or, you know what, we've done this 10 times before and we did it this way and it really worked out well. Do you think you might be interested in trying it that way? And so we definitely try to take what we know and have as knowledge, years and years of knowledge, and get it out back to the customer. Because one of the things we try to tell the customers all the time is, you work with concealment, your T-Mobile or your Verizon, and you work with concealment when you work with concealment. Well, we work with concealment every day, and we do it with you and all your competitors. So our experience, while your experience might be like this, a mile wide and an inch deep, ours is an inch deep or an inch wide and a mile deep. And that's one of the things we try to pass that knowledge on to the customer in an offer, is once the product leaves, it's not the end of the sale for us. Obviously, we're back here and we can help the customer with anything they need on site. And the contractor usually has not had all the benefit of having all the conversations up to this point. One of the things we'll do before it ever leaves is have a pre-con call, pre-construction call, where we'll get on the phone and say, this is what you can expect, this is what you're going to get. Make sure you have these kind of tools in case you run into these types of problems, because we're always trying to minimize the amount of time that the carrier has to waste, and it's ultimately the carrier's time gets wasted on site. So we find out that the contractors are usually very, very welcoming of that information, and obviously they do call back from time to time and say, you know, where's this, or how does this go together, and it's always better if they call, because we can help them get to where they need to be much faster than it would if they tried to figure it out themselves. And we always send drawings, so they have a full set of drawings to look at it and be able to see exactly what we're seeing, so when we're having this conversation, we're both singing off the same page.